So, when you think about building a brand new society, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Maybe laws or government, right? But what about a marketplace? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible story of how the first Muslim community in Medina built a thriving economy from pretty much nothing. And they didn't just do it with rules and regulations, they embedded deep spiritual principles right into the soul of their commerce.
All right, let's jump right in. We'll start by looking at the huge economic challenge the new community was up against. Then we'll get into the brilliant solution, a whole new marketplace built on pure justice. After that, we'll explore the ethics that basically turned business into an act of worship. And to wrap it all up, we'll see how this was all part of a much bigger plan to strengthen the community's spirit. I want you to just imagine this for a second. You've just made the Hijrah, this monumental journey, leaving everything you've ever known behind. You finally arrive in a new city, Medina, and you're full of hope. But the very first challenge you face isn't about finding a place to live. It's a massive, immediate economic crisis.
So, what was the core problem? Well, it was pretty straightforward. The entire economy of Medina was locked down, controlled by just a few powerful tribes. This was no free market. It was a monopoly, and it was designed to take advantage of people's most basic needs.
Let's break this down a bit. First, you have a constant stream of new immigrants, the Mujaron from Mecca, arriving with practically nothing. Then you realize the main marketplace, the city's economic heart, was owned by Jewish tribes who could jack up the prices whenever they felt like it. And on top of all that, really shady business practices like cheating and charging interest were just normal. So here's the bottom line. To build a truly just Islamic society, the Muslims needed economic independence. They had to have their own space where they could play by their own rules.
And that brings us to the solution. Now, it wasn't about trying to reform the old system or compete inside of it. Nope. It was about creating something totally new, built from the ground up on a foundation of pure, unshakable justice. It's a huge question, isn't it? If you had a completely blank slate, how would you design a market that was genuinely fair and open to absolutely everyone? Well, the Prophet's answer was nothing short of revolutionary in its simplicity and its power. After picking a plot of land west of his mosque, the Prophet marked the ground and made this profound declaration. This one sentence was like an earthquake. It completely shattered the old economic order. No fees, no taxes on sellers, no barriers to entry. It was a radical new vision for how business should be done. This new vision was built on four simple but incredibly powerful rules. First, a smart, central location was chosen, easy for everyone to get to. Second, absolute free trade. Everybody had an equal right to be there. Third, and this was the real game changer, all barriers were torn down. By banning fees and taxes on sellers, he made it possible for even the poorest person to start a business. And fourth, he didn't just set the rules and walk away. He was right there, personally overseeing things to make sure the market was fair and free from the cheating and deception of the past. But see, building this market wasn't just about economic rules. That was only half the equation. The Prophet then turned his focus to the character of the people inside the market. And this is where we see business get elevated to something so much higher. Now, this is such a critical concept to get your head around. In Islam, there's no hard lines separating your work life from your spiritual life. An everyday act, like closing a deal or just buying your groceries, can become a profound act of worship. How? Well, it's all about doing it with the right intention and following ethical guidelines. The marketplace, so often a place of greed and distraction, was transformed into an arena for earning immense divine reward. And this became the new code of conduct. It started with remembering God, even in the middle of a transaction. It extended to how you treated people, being gentle, not yelling or arguing, and keeping public spaces clean. And it was all built on a foundation of absolute integrity, fulfilling your word every single time, and being totally honest, even if it meant pointing out a flaw in your own product. And just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. On one side, you have that short-term win from being dishonest. Yeah, you might make the sale, but the Prophet warned that it completely wipes out any blessing, the barakah, that divine grace from the deal. But then look at the other side. The reward for the truthful businessman? It's not just worldly success. It's a promise to be in the company of prophets and martyrs on the day of resurrection. The choice couldn't be clearer. And this warning against cheating, it wasn't just a friendly suggestion. It's cemented in the Quran with the absolute strongest language. Woe to al-mutaffifin, it says.
a direct condemnation of those who shortchange their customers but demand their full share when they buy. We're reminded that an entire nation, the people of Madian, was destroyed for this very sin. That's how seriously God takes fairness in business.
So the Muslims now had a just marketplace and a clear ethical code. But the project of building a society was totally holistic. At the exact same time these economic foundations were being laid, the spiritual foundations were being fortified with major new acts of worship. I mean, just look at this timeline from the second year alone. It's incredible. In the month of Shaban, right before Ramadan, fasting becomes mandatory. Then, during Ramadan itself, a special charity, Zakat al-Fitr, is introduced. Right after that, in Shawwal, the whole community performs the very first Eid prayer together. And in that same year, the pillar of Zakat, the annual charity, is fully established. You have this amazing spiritual construction happening right alongside the economic construction. And here's the brilliant part. Each of these pillars has a profound purpose that directly reinforces the new economy. Fasting wasn't just about going hungry. Its main goal was to build taqwa, a deep awareness of God that guides your honesty in business. Zakat al-Fitr and the annual zakat directly took on poverty. They purified the wealth of the rich and created the social safety net that made the tax-free market not just possible, but fair for everyone. It was all one perfectly integrated system. And this verse just captures the ultimate goal perfectly. All of these laws, whether they were for the marketplace or for prayer, were designed for one main reason: to help the entire community become al-muttaqin, the pious, the people who are conscious of God in every single thing they do. So as we wrap this up, it leaves us with a really powerful question for our own time. What if we brought this holistic vision into our own lives? I mean, how would our boardrooms, our stock markets, our online stores, and even our simple daily shopping trips change if every single transaction was seen not just as a financial exchange, but as a potential act of worship, with consequences that echo into eternity?